Well, hello there. This is Mark Ramsey with HipSocket, and I want to help you take a DiSC assessment, or frankly, any other assessment. Most of them have the same basic principles at play here, and I know so many people get hung up on the wording of a question, or which answer might be the right answer, or what does this say about me versus what does that say about me. And I want to take away all of those concerns and just tell you, here's how to take a DiSC assessment or some of its cousins. Let's first off talk about what DiSC is not. All right, it's a couple things that it's not. First off, DiSC is not a test. All right, it's not a test. There are no wrong answers. There are no right answers. You can't get a bad score. All right, so there's no way that this thing is going to grade you. So you can stop calling it a personality test. It's not a test. It's also not a measurement of you. It's not a way to measure you. All right, it can't tell you how well you're doing at work. It can't tell you whether or not you're strong in this area or that area. It can't tell you if you're a popular person, if you're a moral person. It just can't grade you in any of those ways because it's not a test, right? It has no way to measure you, all right? It's not a test. It's not a way to measure you. Well, what the heck is it? Well, the way I like to describe it is that it's an indicator. It indicates some of your preferences. All right. Now for DiSC, those preferences tend to be around communication, how you take in information, how you process that information, how you interact with others and the world around you. So it's those behavioral styles that are your preferences. Other tools assess other preferences that you might have and indicate those things. For DiSC, that's what it is. It's just an indicator. It's not the final word on you, in other words. Here's three metaphors that may help you. All right. First off, a starting point. DiSC is a starting point to learning more about yourself, right? If you're going to walk down a path, you have to start at the beginning of the path. If you are going to learn about yourself, you got to start somewhere, right? So that report, that DiSC report, can be a way to do that. And I would go a little further and say that DiSC is also like a mirror, all right? My papa was a real cut up, and when he would walk past a mirror, he'd stop and go, "Hold on, everybody, number 32's out of place," right? All right, so DiSC isn't going to be that specific, but I hope you get the idea that DiSC might reveal some things to you that you couldn't see on your own, right? Sometimes we need mirrors to help us see ourselves, and so the report might be a way to see some things about yourself you didn't know and respond accordingly. The final metaphor is my favorite, and it's the one that I think really takes some of the edge off any anxiety or resistance you have to taking all these questions into your system and coming up with responses. I'd like you to think about leaves blowing in the wind. All right, so we've got a picture here of a beautiful autumn day, and the leaves are falling, and you start to notice that most of the leaves, not all, but most, are drifting to the east, right? Well, which way is the wind blowing? It's blowing to the east, right? Now, it didn't catch every single leaf and pull it, push it that direction, but it did catch most. And so that's sort of what's going on with the questions in an assessment, right? You're not going to answer every single one exactly the same way, but you're going to answer enough that it sort of indicates that you're blowing this direction, that you have this particular preference. That's it, right? There's nothing more to it than that. All right, so here are some thoughts for you on how to go about taking a DiSC assessment or some of its cousins like StrengthsFinder or Myers-Briggs and so on. First off, don't Google DiSC, right? It's not going to help you. Also, if this perhaps is your preference, don't DuckDuckGo the DiSC assessment. It's not going to give you any insider info. You can't even cheat on this thing, right? Because it's not a test. So don't bother doing that. It's going to give you preconceived notions. Go where you can focus for about 15 minutes or more. I say 15 to 30 minutes, but honestly, if you reach 30, you're probably pushing it and you're thinking too hard. Go with your first reaction. Go with your gut, and just get those answers down out of your head and move on. Because we're just looking for the leaves blowing in the wind, right? The questions are going to reveal the answers over time. And if it helps you, DiSC does not require this, but if you need to, answer the questions thinking about the environment you'll be using DiSC in. So if it's for the workplace, think about how you are at work. If it's for home, think about how you are at home. If it's for a charitable organization, how do you operate with that charity? Not much more to be said about that unless it helps you sort of pin down how you feel about certain things when you're being asked the questions on the assessment. That's it. It really is that simple. If I can help you in any way, please reach out. My contact information is on the screen, and I look forward to talking to you in the near future.